I may have lost that, almost lost my wife, almost lost my kids, almost lost everything. So I sat in a dark room and I just asked God, deliver me from this. I'm a rap star. Like things were going really well at that time. I was like, I'd walk into a club. They're like, Payday's in the building. They'd shout me out in there. I was in newspapers. I was in magazines. I've been on many, many videos and all that kind of stuff on MTV and all that. And it wasn't fulfilling though. And at that time when that happened, it's like God said, you're done. Don't do that anymore. And so I didn't. I stopped right then at that time. So that's what changed. So the whole time I've always been a hustler and I've always tried to do this or that, but my life pivoted when that happened. I made a change. I wanted to be a good dad, be a good husband.
Welcome to the McKinney Podcast, the show that celebrates what makes McKinney unique by nature. This podcast exists to spotlight the people, the organizations, and the events that shape our great city. You can count on every episode to tell a compelling story and help increase your awareness and perspective on what's happening around McKinney. Your hosts for this fun-filled adventure are Fred Mahusay, owner of FredShots Photography, and James Jenkins, CEO of RiskWell. Connect with us on YouTube and on our website, McKinneyPodcast.com. Now, let's get into it. Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of the McKinney Podcast, celebrating what makes us unique by nature. It's another block. It's another day of recording for the next 5 hours. Can't wait.
We're going to record for 5 hours? All right.
Five different guests, Mike. Okay. You can't have all 5 hours. Oh, man. This is going to be a slightly unhinged episode because our guest has the most personality, maybe of any guest we've had. We've had some big personalities.
Even Jared Ty?
I think Jared hasn't actually been on yet.
He hasn't yet.
Has he not?
No. We just haven't.
Let me orchestrate that.
We've had like 17 realtors on as guests so far out of our 70 episodes.
But you're the first one to name drop someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Another realtor.
Mike Danielson.
Hey, that's me.
Welcome to the McKinney Podcast, man.
Thank you.
And you can tell from looking here on camera 5, Mike is swagged out. He is the most branded, the most Photoshop qualified person we've ever had in here.
Even my shoes.
Yeah.
Put my face on them.
You get the personal branding, man. Mm-hmm. It is a very impressive thing you've got going on. So, hey, welcome to the show.
Glad you appreciate it.
I don't even know where to start. You've got like 7 different things going on, man.
Yeah.
Fred, why don't you hit him with that first question?
Okay, so when your feet first touched the earth, where was that soil?
It was in a hospital.
Oh.
1976, I was born in Jackson, Michigan, which I don't know if you've ever heard of Jackson, Michigan. If you know where Lansing's at.
Where is it?
Where is it on the hand?
Probably somewhere right about there, but
near Grand Rapids.
Nearer to Lansing, which is where Michigan State University is at.
Okay.
So born there, moved to Houston when I was 4. If you've read my book that I gave you, it's all in there.
Yeah. We haven't read it just yet.
I just gave it to you. Haven't you read it?
I just got the copy about 5 minutes ago.
All right.
Yeah. Wow. So moved to Houston. I guess family relocation job or something.
Or was it just you at 4 years old?
It was me at 4 years old. I actually taught myself to fly, and I just flew a plane down, had a Cessna. No, so my mom left me with my grandparents. And this is all in the book, but nobody's read the book probably that's watched it yet. I lived with my grandparents till I was about 4. My mom's kind of off the rails. And so she came and got me to start our new family in Houston, and, didn't work out well. But I ended up staying in Houston.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
The book that you wrote is My Entire Childhood Was a Side Quest.
Yes.
How does one write a book like that? Because that has nothing to do with your professional life. It has nothing to do with anything that's going on currently. You basically wrote an autobiography of your first few chapters. Passion project, right? Like that's the definition of a book about one's childhood.
So I've been working on that book about 10 years.
Wow.
Different iterations of it. I started it as like a fictional book because nobody would believe my life. I mean, if you read the book, you'd be like, there's no way he did half that stuff in there. And so I kind of started it out as like a different character, grew up in Michigan, went to Houston, did this, did that. And then I lost it. I wrote it on notebook paper, which, I know you're younger. We know about notebook paper. You could actually write things instead of doing everything on a computer.
That's the second time that he's referred to me as younger. Can I just keep you around? Can you be at the office like every day and just feed me those compliments?
I can text you once a day. It'll be like,
are you the old man in the
all
office?
my joints And my graying in my beard is like, I'm not used to these young guy comments. It's like we employ people here at RiskWell that are young enough to be my kid.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, I'm not used to these young guy references. Well, Mike, thank you. I
I'm
appreciate
49.
that.
I'll be out of my 50s this year.
Yeah.
In April.
Well, you're only 7 years older than me. Let's keep it real.
Well,
So
yeah.
Yeah.
I was already graduated elementary school at that point. I'd already made it through kindergarten, first grade before you were born.
You just keep the comments coming, bro. I'm here for it. I love it.
I'm sorry. I have ADD too. That's another thing. I speak really fast. I go off topic.
So it's three of us. All three of us have ADHD or ADD.
This could be really great.
Right.
We really should apologize to our listening audience.
Welcome to the 5-hour episode of
I'm
ADD.
telling you, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Shiny things and squirrels.
What?
So, Mike, your story is the definition of eclectic.
Mm-hmm.
You've been a rapper. You've been on TV. You're a real estate agent. You do all this branding stuff. Where do we start? Like, me through the chronology. Like, you've been different chapters of your life.
So I started rapping when I was a lot younger because you could, either play basketball or rap or do other illegal things.
Or you could rap about basketball.
You could, if you can play, but I wasn't really.
So were you in a difficult part of Houston, I'm guessing?
Yes, I was raised in the SWAT,
Okay.
which if you sound by the name, it's probably not the greatest of areas, but Southwest Alief, Texas. It's on the southwest side of Houston.
Yep.
This is our hand sign. It's
Yep.
the West. We throw it up. But shout out to SWAT. Nothing wrong with that.
Mike was the one throwing gang sign. It was not me. I did not throw gang sign. Let's just let the record show. No.
Yeah. So anyway, I was raised in Alief, Texas. Got into rap a long time ago. I've done rap. I manage a comedian, Alexander K. He's a local stand-up comedian. I've actually had him at the Comedy Arena several times over here. What else? I owned a Christian rap magazine. When I got out of rap, I got into Christian rap. I didn't want to do Christian rap because it's more about me, because I don't know if you've met my humbleness. So when I became, a Christian, I was like, I don't want to be a Christian rapper because I won't make it about God. I'll make it about me. So I made a magazine that kind of put the spotlight on other artists like Lecrae, like Tadashi, Tripoli,
and all those guys. Yeah.
I interviewed Tripoli from my very first issue.
No kidding.
He's from DeSoto.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Which is kind of cool. Tadashi's from Houston, Lecrae's from Dallas.
T-Dot.
Yeah.
Okay, so who is your rap inspiration?
My rap inspiration?
Yeah. Who are you? Whose rhymes were you biting?
So nobody really. I'm like Eazy-E. Like my style was more like Eazy-E from NWA.
Yep.
Loved his kind of nasally delivery, too short, kind of the same thing. So just like you said, my life's eclectic. My hip hop tastes are eclectic. I love Houston rappers. I love the Ghetto Boys, Bushwick Bill. When Bushwick Bill actually became a Christian rapper a while back, and I had him in a magazine as well.
No, Lecrae is such an interesting character. As I feel kind of a personal connection there because I first got to see him perform in 2006 when his first studio album hit. He hadn't really made it yet. He was still kind of up and coming. And it was so obvious even back then. It was like, this guy's wildly talented. Like his flows, the speed that he delivers the verse is like, I don't know how, even if you don't like rap, like you see him perform, it's like, whoa.
Yeah, he's like a real rapper.
This guy's very talented.
Yeah.
But then his lyrics and everything is so positive and uplifting and just like, man, like the guys.
So are you familiar with Christian rap then?
Very,
So do you remember back in the day, DC Talk and people like that?
T-Bone and all that.
Yeah. So I used to listen to it back then because
Yeah.
I dated a Church of Christ preacher's daughter. So like I said, I've done many things.
Yeah.
So
well,
when
in Church of Christ, the spoken word is like the thing because they don't have instruments.
There's no instruments. So
yeah.
So when I was in the church then, I started listening to DC Talk and like T-Bone and New Wine and people like that.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, it wasn't that great. I was like, it's okay. I'm from Houston. I'm an actual rapper.
Yeah.
It's like these people don't really rap like real rappers. And so when I got out of it, but when I got back in, it was about 2006, 2007. And then I saw Lecrae and I saw Tadashi and I saw Tripoli and I was like, this is actually good.
Yeah.
Von Juan is one of my favorite Christian rappers ever.
Cool.
Shout out to Von Juan. I don't know if you know who he is.
I haven't heard that name.
He's from Houston. He's kind of like in the style of Zero or Tupac. He's really good.
I love it when because I mean my kids are 9 and 6, and as a dad, it's
a good thing they're not 6'7".
Right.
Oh goodness.
Which I'm told that's very old now.
Yeah,
they
that's
don't
right.
do this anymore.
Yeah, no.
Really?
Yeah.
No,
Like
that's
my
not anymore.
his son's like, Dad, that is so old. Like that's nobody does that anymore. It's like,
I mean,
wow,
I do
that
that,
happened
so.
fast.
Yeah.
But it's like it's so difficult to discern as someone who had just a completely across the spectrum taste in movies and TV and music and everything's like. As a dad, it's like, oh, Yeah, I probably shouldn't bring that up to my son for like 5 or 6 more years.
Yeah.
It was like, he's way too young to be able to, whatever. It was like, we watched the like Marvel movies and whatnot, which is kind of like on the edge because there's some words in there that he doesn't understand. There's some violence.
Don't watch movies that we grew up with in the 80s.
Oh,
Or you
100%.
too, like Goonies.
Oh my
I
gosh.
watched the Goonies with my kids and I was like,
awful.
holy crap.
First
I was
10,
like,
but it's like in the first 5 minutes.
I watched Porky's with my
Drop
kids.
the
He's been on this musical journey for about the last 8 months, and I was just thinking, well, this Lecrae, Tadashi Tripoli, like all of that crew,
The whole
is like, I
126
don't
click.
have to worry about any of their music. I can literally put anything from any of those playlists on and not worry about what my son's going to hear because it's all clean. And the messaging is all good. The lyrics are all, positive, or at least,
it's mainstream accepted too. There's a lot of people that actually listen to Lecrae's music.
Yep.
yeah, I mean, it's so cool when we get into the vehicle and he's like, "Can we listen to Lecrae?" I was like, "Oh, I feel like I'm winning as a parent."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to love that when my kids
So
did
is
too.
that kind of inspiration for you, like as a musical artist who, I mean, no longer actively, like you're not on stage actively anymore, but it's part of who you are.
Yeah.
Like, how does that translate to? I mean, it's obvious that this has just permeated who you are as a person. Like that level of personality and performance. Most realtors don't have a cartoon of themselves on a T-shirt that they wear.
Exactly.
What?
So-
Talk about that.
So when I got into real estate, which was 4 years ago, I tried to do all the traditional stuff that every other realtor does. I wore the suits. I did the door knocking, the cold calling. Hey, I'm Mike. Would you like to buy, sell, or invest? And I didn't really get any good feedback on it. And I started thinking one day, and I was like, I've been in the entertainment industry pretty much my entire life. I was at the inception of social media. I was friends with Tom when he started MySpace way back in the day.
Everybody was Tom's friend.
He was my top 8, But so
he was my top 2.
So no lie, when I had MySpace, I was actually my own top 8.
That's right.
So I had 9 MySpace accounts. I had Payday 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I had them Dirty Boys. I had Southwest Payday. I was my own top 8. So that's what I'm saying. I started doing all the social media marketing back then. I started it back before there was anything.
So you were the first guy to spoof and spam, since you were like holding multiple accounts.
Oh yeah, I had at least 10,000 on each account. But yeah, I knew ways. With MySpace, it was a lot easier to get many followers by doing nefarious things,
commenting and liking on your own things.
Oh yeah. But so what
Guys,
happened?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Because he's a lot younger.
I never did MySpace.
He's a lot younger. He wasn't around yet. It was 7 years.
Yeah.
7 years in social media is a big difference.
Yeah. So what ended up happening?
Did you Zanga and all the other things?
Oh,
I did
Zanga blogs back in the
I was in
early 2000s.
There was so many message boards that we were in. I was in DFW Hip Hop. That's how I know a lot of the local Dallas rappers that are my age, because we all were on a message board all day at work. We would just sit there on a message board and talk back and forth and rap to each other and do things like that. But when I got into real estate, I ignored all those things that I did my whole life. And as far as marketing, I was just like, I have to do this because this is the way they do it. I have to look all uppity and be like, hey, hello, sir.
It's not you though.
It is not me. No. And so there was one day, it's when one of my friends, shout out Chris Blue, like I always say that, I made a funny ad. He goes to Disney like 7 times a year. He's a real good friend of mine. He's one of my neighbors. And I just made I do graphics, as we all know. And so I made a picture of like Mickey Mouse, and it shows me like on the statue of Walt. And I'm like, if you want to go to Disney, if you want the money to go to Disney, sell your house. And I sent it to him just as a joke. And he's like, dude, that's hilarious. He's like, you should post that. And I'm like, nobody will take me seriously if I do that. And I did it. And everybody took me seriously. And I was like, holy crap. I was like, wait a minute, this may actually be something.
Yeah.
So then my brother-in-law reached out to me. His name's Javier. And he said, have you ever seen the movie I Love You, Man? And I hadn't. I don't know if have you all seen that?
Yeah.
I've seen the commercial.
About the 2 realtors.
The beer commercial.
And he made these billboards. And the first one he made was License to Sell. And it shows him with a gun. And he's like, license to sell if you want to buy or sell a home. So I made that. Bad choice of timing, because that was when there was a big school shooting back then. And I'm like on an ad holding up a gun. They're like, why is he holding a gun? But it ended up catching, like a lot of people paid attention to it. And so then I did the Home Finder. And then I did, like you saw, the Thanos one. And it just started catching on. I just continued to do it. And I'm like, you know what? This gets me in front of people.
Well, this has got to be like the golden age for you, man, with all this AI generated stuff, where it just, as a marketer, as someone who is already a creator, it just supercharges your ability to do stuff.
This right here, this
The
coloring
coloring
book,
book.
I did that strictly off AI. I went into AI and I just said, create me a line art drawing page with this, create that. It just did the whole thing. And I know I am an artist, and a lot of artists hate hate AI.
Okay,
and stuff.
let me just put this on the camera here. Who the heck is that guy?
That's me. Yeah.
That guy.
That's me on closing day. I only dress like that when I close deals. That's it. Every other day I'm dressed like this.
I'm telling you. No, I mean, look at this here on my camera here. Like, that is, for those of you watching on YouTube, you're getting the full effect here. If you're just listening to this episode,
you're missing out. You're missing
on the podcast. The thing about AI is so interesting to me. This is not an AI episode, I know.
We can turn it into that.
I mean, I'm down for that, but that's a different episode. It is not going to make you great at your job. It won't.
No.
It will simply supercharge and give you tremendous capacity to do more of whatever it is you're able to do. It's not going to make you better. It can make you you can use it to make you smarter and better at your job, but simply adding the AI ingredient is not going to magically make you better.
If you don't know what you're doing, and it's not just about a prompt. You have to be creative. So like this whole thing, nobody can go do that. They're not going to just create a whole entire coloring book with you as a super realtor. Who's a super realtor? Who had to think of that? I had to think of that. And oddly enough, I actually hired a cartoonist for Mad Magazine named Carrie Callan.
Yeah.
And I had the idea. I was like, I want to have a picture of me as a super realtor. And I didn't know I could do it with AI at that time.
No.
So I paid him $200 for a cover to put me on a comic book cover. And I said, man, I really like that idea. I told him to draw me a 6-panel comic strip with Mike Danielson, super realtor. And I used that as an ad. But then I plugged it into AI and I said, take this idea and make me a new cover. And it did the super realtor versus the Zillinator and, all these other ideas. And I released that. I had 20 different episodes and I released it on social media. I did little videos where it would go through each panel and AI would read it with different AI voices for the characters.
Wow.
So, yeah. But it's just it's an enhancement, like you said. It's like icing on the cake. It doesn't have to be, everything or make you better. But
it's so crazy to me now because it seems almost like it's just almost satirical, satire. The amount of AI. It's almost like that line from Anchorman back in the day. It's like now made with real AI. It was like powered by AI. It's like when you just stick it on there, it's like powered by AI. It's like what? What does that even mean? Like Honey Nut Cheerios now made with AI. It's like wait a second, hold on. What does that mean?
Yeah.
So it's. Rescue us, Fred. Get us back on track.
Okay, so
this is an ADD episode.
Yeah, no, I'm sitting there. It's like watching ping pong tennis.
You wanted to talk about rap before we even started. You didn't want to get the conversation.
You kind of nailed all of those things.
Well, I was an actual rapper. Like my music right now, today, you can go on iTunes, Spotify, any of that. You can look up my name. My last 2 albums and a single are all on there right now. Like are
you under Mike Danielson or what's your?
No, absolutely.
Okay, all right. So
that would have gone over really well.
That'd be the worst name ever.
So my rap name was Payday, like the day of the week.
Okay.
My plates on my car outside, they have Payday on them if you walk out there right now. Clients, when I pull up to a showing and they see Payday, a lot of realtors have Moneymaker, Realtor, whatever. They see mine as this Payday and they're like, what is that? And I'm like, well, I used to be a rapper. And they're like, yeah, right. And then I say, let me see your phone. I look up, on iTunes. I'm like, that's me with gold teeth. They're like, oh, wow. It really is you. I was like,
wow.
It is.
So you had grills or you?
I do have a grill. I actually got my grill from Paul Wall's shop, if you're familiar with Paul Wall. I got a diamond watch from Johnny Dang. I got a grill with baguettes. These are veneers now, so I can't wear my grill anymore. But this grill was a lot more expensive than that grill, though. I can tell you that.
I recently, literally yesterday, the algorithm fed me a collaboration between Paul Wall and Forrest Frank.
Oh, this morning before I came here, I just saw
that video. They're in the stadium and just like, I didn't know Paul Wall was praising God.
So funny thing, I'm from Houston, so I know them fairly well. I used to sell Paul's DVDs out here back when I used to rap. Him and Chameleon used to be in school in Jersey Village and walk around with the Bible all day in school. He's always been a Christian. They both were.
Wow.
How about
that?
Outwardly Christian.
I've never really followed Paul Wall. I know the name, obviously.
Well, everybody thought I was Paul Wall.
Really?
I sat in Paul Wall's jewelry store getting my grill, and I had a shirt that had me on it. I always wear. This is not new. I've always worn myself in my shirts, with Payday. And I'm sitting there, and people are like, can I take a picture with you? And I'm like, who do you think I am? And they're like, Paul Wall. I'm like, he's literally right there. This is his shop. He's standing right there.
Yeah.
I am not him. But a lot of people used to think I was Paul Wall.
Did you ever get flack for cultural appropriation?
No.
Eminem got, it's literally in one of his songs. I use black music selfishly to make myself wealthy.
Yeah.
And I was like, was that ever a thing where, because living in Houston, Houston's
a melting pot. It's a lot different than Dallas.
Yeah.
So
You're a majority demographic in a city that's made up of a lot of minorities.
So my neighborhood that I grew up in was Leawood on the southwest side of Alief. The gang Southwest Cholos originated in my neighborhood. My best friend next door was Vietnamese. The person over here is black. The person over here was in Southwest Cholos. It's a big mixing pot. It's a melting pot, the whole city. When I came out, nobody questioned anything about me because they know where I'm from. If I'd come out and I'm like from River Oaks or like here would be, Turtle Creek or some rich area. Yeah. If I came out, hey, I'm Payday from Turtle Creek, they'd be like, oh, he's fake. When I say Alief out here in Oak Cliff, people are like, oh, you're from Alief. Okay. They're like, all right. Okay. So it gives you street credibility. Eminem was raised in a trailer house.
Yeah.
On 8 Mile. Yep. I've been to 8 Mile, and I actually put in my vlog. I was driving on 8 Mile, and 2 people were like throwing stuff at their cars while I'm driving. I was like, hey, we're in 8 Mile. I was like, that's cool.
It's the authentic 8 Mile experience. I got jumped and mugged while I was there. It's like, pulled up to the convenience store, got held up. It's like, oh, man, the real 8 Mile experience.
Paul Wall and Chameleon, not from the ghetto. That I don't know if a lot of people knew that. They're from Jersey Village. Jersey Village is probably the equivalent of McKinney, Texas, in Houston.
I was about to say, it's an uppity suburb.
It is. Yep. Yeah. And that's where they were raised. But they used to do like PR for like different rap groups and stuff, like No Limit, and they did some stuff for Swisher House, and that's how they got on. That's how they started rapping, was doing like advertising for them first, putting cards on windows and stuff.
So I was looking at the demographics of McKinney, the most recent like census stuff, for just a project I'm working on personally, and it's very interesting to see the way that things have progressed in the last 10 years, because when you use the term Asian, and it's encompassing actual Asian Indians with also, Indian included in that demographic
versus Filipino.
Well, yeah, but it's like actual like Korean,
Filipinos,
Japanese, Chinese, like the Asian continent, like that part of the world. 25%, 25 point something percent of McKinney's population. Yeah. And the black population is roughly what the national average is, about 12, 13%. And then, Hispanic Latino population, 20-something percent. The quote-unquote white population is 50. Like 52, 53%. But it's like,
man. But where are they at? Because when you're actually in McKinney, if you're over by the east side, it's a melting pot. In my neighborhood, it's a melting pot. Yeah. I guess if y'all are in Stonebridge, maybe it's not as much.
Well, that's the point I was about to get at. Is like, but that diversity is not uniformly distributed. You go on the east side of town, and it's majority minority, where if you're a white person living east of Highway 5, you're definitely in the minority. Yeah. It's just...
And that's another thing. I saw that along, like when you were saying 10, 15 years ago, my brother had a skateboarding ministry called Cross-Eyed Skates. I don't know if you ever heard of that. And we actually took kids from Merritt Homes and from the projects in McKinney, mixed with kids from First Baptist McKinney, and we'd go to different skate parks every Sunday. We'd do a devotional. But I would see that. I would see that side of McKinney because we were on the east side picking up kids in Merritt every Sunday, take them for a devotional. And my brother took them on a field trip, not a field trip, I guess a field trip, whatever, out to South Dakota, to the poorest Indian reservation in the world. And so they live in Merritt Homes, and they're like, oh, my mom's a crackhead, I'm this, I'm that, I'm dealing with that. But seeing actual poor people that are living on dirt huts, that it opened their eyes up,
Well, I wasn't just randomly spouting facts. Sorry, it was like, where are you going with this, James? What does this have to do with anything? What's your take on the benefits, the values, just the beautiful addition that it is to have really, really strong diversity in our city, where all these different perspectives come together in one city, with you being where you're from, born and raised in a multicultural city. What's your perspective on how McKinney benefits from having all these different people? We're not a Wonder Bread suburb.
Well, other ideas and other beliefs, they're always going to, add to the situation. Just like AI, how we talked about, it's like icing on the cake. That's icing on the cake. I mean, just being plain Jane and not being out of your own comfort zone, like you're a white guy, you're raised in this and this and that. You're being exposed to different cultures, like Filipino, like African, like Mexican, and it just enhances your life if you actually can see how other people live and, how they vote and how they do, things in McKinney as well.
And different food.
That's what I'm saying. Different food, definitely.
The different qualities that, bring.
Well, and we're getting restaurants in town that are from different cultures. I think we have a Spain restaurant, which I just got back from Spain. I went to Madrid. Totally different world. Didn't expect it. I've been to Guatemala, Honduras.
The differences between like Mexican food
in Spain.
Spanish
Totally.
It was like, I mean, you would think there would be some sort of like inspiration or whatever. It's like, no,
not even close.
No,
because it's Europe. It's European.
Well, the native population is influenced so much of the cuisine, the culture, the music. Was like, yeah. Well, I know Mexico was colonized by Spain. Yeah, but the influence is not even strong, not really much at all. Like
and I've been to Guatemala and Honduras. Yeah, that's more influenced like Mexican kind of. I think.
Yeah. Well, the
I will say I had steak. Never saw a cow. Don't know where the steak came from.
Iberico pork. Yeah,
something. I don't know where the meat came from. But
if it tastes like steak, it was Iberico pork.
What kind of animal does that come from?
It's a pig.
Pork, pork. Okay.
Yeah,
it tasted like hamburger. I mean,
Iberico is a breed of pig over there, and they call it like the A5 Wagyu of pork.
Oh wow,
like that's their branding for that kind of meat, and it's literally like that Iberico pork is native to that one region of Spain.
Oh wow,
and that's one of their biggest exports is a certain breed of pig that makes the best pork in the world.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow,
so yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Well, they do have a lot of horses in Spain.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's what I thought.
You may have eaten a horse.
I saw a lot of dogs and I saw a lot of horses. I saw 0 cows. So
Fred, this is a completely unhinged episode.
I can tell you. I'm telling you, we can go anywhere you want to go. We can talk about. We're going to talk about pigs. We can talk about.
Well, the thing. How did you get around them lisping over there? Because it's
so when they say cinco, it's always a th.
Cinco.
Yeah.
It was like
so. Oddly enough, I took Spanish in high school, and my Spanish teacher was from Spain. Yeah. So I learned Spanish from somebody that goes Cinco.
The Castilian way.
Yes.
That's right.
And my wife's Hispanic.
The Castilian way.
My wife is Hispanic. She's never been to Mexico, I don't think, but she is of Spanish heritage on both sides, from Spain. But everybody calls them Mexican because they're brown. They don't even say, oh, they're from Spain, because in Houston, anybody brown is Mexican.
That's right.
Essentially,
That's right.
You're Mexican.
Well, what's funny is when I moved, when my family moved, I didn't learn how to fly a plane when I was 4, like you. Yeah. But when my family moved from Georgia to Florida, I was in the 3rd grade.
Was that the country Georgia, or was that?
Yeah, it was like the state of. And I sat down the first day of class in 3rd grade, Arcadia, Florida. I sat down beside, I'm just gonna call it. It was a white kid, all right. Uh-huh. And he looks at me and he goes, "Are you Mexican?" And I looked at him. I was like, "No." And then he sat there a minute. He goes, "Are you Chinese?" I was like, "No."
You Mexican cheese?
Yeah. And so finally, after another minute, he looks at me and goes, "Are you black?" And I was like, "No."
You just said, yeah.
and so, yes. But, back to your comment about Filipinos, Mexicans on an island, I received that joke.
Yeah.
Because, everything that when I talk about Filipino traditions and all those other things, they're like, "Oh, it's just like Mexico." And I'm like, yeah.
Hey, y'all say zapatos, and that's shoes. That's right. I learned that. One of my best friends was Filipino growing up.
But was he a rapper?
No, he was a headbanger. So that was another iteration. I used to have hair down to here. I wore a pentagram about that big, and I was in a death metal band, and I played bass when I was in high school. So, yeah, I've done a lot of things.
Well, when was it? Probably 2-3 weeks ago, someone was like, y'all talk about demographics and race a lot. It was like, well, because it's identity.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's part of.
It's about
what makes us who we are.
About our city's identity.
Well, it's just like where we came from, where our families came from, and the identities, the assumptions, the perspectives that we carry in. And
I will say, I think McKinney is becoming a melting pot. It's not yet. It still has a ways to go.
Yeah.
But I think it is becoming that. You know what I mean? As more people move into this, like you said, different cultures move into the city, different people. There's I know when I was on Visit McKinney board, we were trying to do the Asian Fest, right? We were putting money towards the Asian Fest, and the complaint was there's no Asians here. But there is, just like you said, there are Asians here.
It's just they keep
not
to
as well
themselves
known.
for the most part. Because
like, who would come to an Asian Fest in McKinney? I'm like, Fred.
That's right.
I absolutely love it. Yeah, I love it.
Too.
Exposing my kids to stuff that is different from them. Yeah. Teaching them to be a citizen of the world to an extent. I mean, obviously we're American. We're proud to be American. We're Texan. We're proud to be Texan. But the white people don't have a corner on the market for anything. Yeah. We're just came from Europe, and we have European background. It's like that appreciation for different. And I posted on Facebook a couple of days ago, I was at a physical therapy meeting, and my therapist was an older Indian lady, and her name made it very obvious that she was from India. And it turns out she's second generation. Her parents moved here when she was a kid, and she's second generation. It was just for 45 minutes we had this whole conversation about her background, her
She's from
upbringing.
McKinney?
She lives in McKinney. She's a physical therapist down at Methodist McKinney's physical therapy clinic in Stonebridge, or Craig Ranch, I should say. And just having this beautiful conversation with someone who's very different from me.
Yeah.
And it all started from—
And you're having it here. That's the
name.
thing. Yeah.
Because I asked her foolishly, because I thought it was Brenda, but I said, is that your assumed American name or is that your birth name? It was like, because a lot of people that are from that part of the world, like they adopt an American name or a white sounding name.
Well, you'd be surprised. I know a lot of Indians, and it depends on the region of India, but there's Indians that are named John, and that's in India. They're named John. It's not an Americanized
because the colonizers.
name, and it's well, I guess, but Jonathan. There's, I mean, it's really like it's like an inside joke with Indians. The J names, like if it's Jonathan or all these other names, and they know where you're from. J and T. If your last name starts with a T,
Well, just the differences between North India and South India. I was like, well, it's a country of 1 billion people.
And one of my best friends, he's a
people.
DJ. He's from, well, I don't know if he's from India, but he's Indian. His name's John Thomas, and that's his actual name.
Well, those kind of conversations, if we're not going out of our way to find those conversations where it's like, if all you're doing is hanging out in your neighborhood with people that look like you and sound like you and eat at the places that you eat and worship at the same way that you worship, it's like, you're missing something.
So cultures do things so differently. Like a lot of Indians don't like Facebook. They don't use it.
Yeah.
So in my neighborhood, I'm called the mayor of Irwin Farms. I live in Irwin Farms in McKinney, over by McKinney North. I've been the mayor of Irwin Farms for 10 years now. Seriously, the builders just started calling me that. I had a joke with Fuller. I was like, oh, the mayor of McKinney and then the mayor of Irwin Farms. And so when the Indian community got really large in our neighborhood, it's like 80% in 2 of the phases, they have a WhatsApp for the neighborhood. They don't use our neighborhood page. They don't even want to mess with it.
Outside of America, WhatsApp is the number one communication platform.
And so I'm on their WhatsApp, and so I would send them screenshots from our Facebook page and say, hey, this is going on. Hey, we're having this event. If they had something with Diwali that they wanted to do, I would take that from the WhatsApp and I'd share it on our Facebook. And so they made me the admin of their WhatsApp. And I'm like, why are you making me, a white dude, the admin of your WhatsApp? And they're like, you are the peacemaker. You are the bridge between the two communities. Okay.
That's
as
cool.
long as when you want to buy or sell your home, don't do it alone. Right. You call me.
So can we digress to the book?
Have we digressed from what?
Man,
we have not the number of things we've covered here. Let's just go to the book. There's no digression here.
Okay. So I'm just going to hold this up real quick here for the camera. Mike wrote a book, and it's called "My Whole Childhood Was a Side Quest." At its core, the McKinney Podcast exists to obviously celebrate our city, but we're about telling good stories. We're about exposing our audience to something they may not have seen or heard before. I'd love for you to talk about resilience and grit and overcoming adversity, because at the very beginning of this episode, you started off by talking about, your mom was not in a great spot. You lived with your grandparents for a little while. You moved at the age of 4. You had a rough childhood. You probably went through some real junk that we don't need to get into the gritty details because it's a family podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
But what I'd love to hear is, how did that shape the way that you are? Because sitting here right now, it's so obvious. Mike Danielson knows who he is.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Your identity is set. You're grounded. You're confident.
I'm literally wearing it on my shirt.
Yeah. I'd love to hear kind of how a rough start helped shape the person that you are, because you obviously chose to lean into those challenges. And you didn't end up, maybe you did, I don't know, you didn't end up selling drugs on the street corner. You didn't end up in prison.
Didn't go to prison, but yeah.
So how did you overcome a really hard start to become the person that you are now?
So growing up, I was the unseen, right? I was abused. We had CPS called on us probably 6 or 7 times in school. I went to school with bruises, but nobody saw me. I was invisible. Like nobody cared. I didn't exist, and I never wanted to be invisible. That's why I'm so out there now, and I'm so in your face, because people are not going to forget about me. You know what I mean? When I was a little kid, everybody forgot about me. And I was just kind of one of the toss-aways, like the kids in East McKinney that are toss-aways. Their parents are the same as mine. And it's just, I didn't want to be that. And I didn't want my kids to ever have to deal with that. So it's just, I just fought to be a better person, to be a different person. But I think the identity thing is more about, I lived so long in the shadows. I don't want to be in the shadows. I want to be the light, whatever that means.
I want to be in the light
Yeah.
as you are in the light.
Oh, I didn't know this was a musical
I
show.
want to shine
listen.
like
Are we doing
stars
karaoke now?
in the heavens.
You have your homeschool performance child over here.
Oh,
So.
I dated a homeschool girl for 6 years.
Why you got to out me like that,
I
bro?
went to homeschool prom.
Actually, you confessed that many times on this show.
Jared Taya, another homeschool guy. So y'all can talk about that on a podcast.
we have commiserated
Yeah.
the being the awkward, weird
I've been
kid.
to a homeschool prom.
Bro,
Yeah.
I had a homeschool prom.
No, I wasn't homeschooled. I dropped out of school in 9th grade. That's another thing about me. So
Really?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, my third year of 9th grade, I was 18. I dropped out, got my GED. My wife gets mad that I leave the story there. I was 18, dropped out in 9th grade, went to college, had a 3.78 GPA the whole time I was in college. So I went for 6 years to college.
What was your degree?
I don't have one.
Oh.
So I dropped out of college also. Another dropout.
Help me connect the dots.
Okay.
Was there a mentor? Was
No.
there a person? Was there a
No one.
situation? How did you pivot and get past that chapter with all the headwinds?
I did it myself. I'm a self-made man. I've never looked up to anybody. I've never had anybody to look up to. I didn't have a parent, or I had a grandfather when I was 4 that I loved. He died when I was 8. I don't have anybody to look up to. I looked up to him, like the memory of him. And so he started out, it's in my book too, he started out painting the bathrooms at a company called General Products. When he died, he was one of 3 owners of that company, and they built every axle part for every General Motors vehicle at General Motors. And he started out just painting their bathrooms, you know?
Wow.
And so he taught himself to be an accountant. Like I taught myself how to do HTML when the internet came out, way back before your time. We didn't have the internet always, you know? I'm referencing your youngness again.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
But anyway, I taught myself to do that. Graphic design, I taught myself that. So I kind of take that lead from my grandfather. My grandfather's the only person that I can look to and say, that's who I want to be, you know?
What situation happened? Was there a concept? Was there a moment that you can think of where it's like, I'm going to be different than what got me here?
100%. So I got busted doing illegal things like we were talking about. So I don't know how deep in the weeds we can get on talking about things. My mom used to give me prescription pills before school when I was in elementary school and said, sell these and get your lunch money. That's the way that I was raised. That's
No kidding.
Yes, 100%.
Wow.
And so I did that every morning. Like, I'm not going to name all the drugs I used to sell in school, but this is in middle school. And my mom would give them to me and say, go do this. And so when I got older, anytime the situation arose where I can't pay my bills, I'm like, man, I just revert to that. That's easy. I can just go sell something, you know, make some money real quick, and then I can cover our bills. And I got busted doing that. And so that was the awakening time. That's when I started the Christian Rap magazine. I sat in a dark room. I was going to lose my wife. I was going to lose my company. I also owned a commercial printing company for 21 years on top of everything else that I did.
Because of course, yeah.
Yeah, because why not? You know, that's also what I did. But yeah, I may have lost that, almost lost my wife, almost lost my kids, almost lost everything. So I sat in a dark room and I just asked God, deliver me from this. You know, I'm a rap star. Like things were going really well at that time. I was like, I'd walk into a club. They're like, Payday's in the building. They'd shout me out in there. I was in newspapers. I was in magazines. I've been on many, many videos and all that kind of stuff on MTV and all that. And it wasn't fulfilling though. And at that time when that happened, it's like God said, you're done. Don't do that anymore. And so I didn't. You know, I stopped right then at that time.
Wow.
So that's what changed. So the whole time I've always been a hustler and I've always tried to do this or that, but my life pivoted when that happened. Like, I made a change. I wanted to be a good dad, be a good husband.
So what was your first step to no longer being in that dark industry, dark business?
I dropped everything. So everybody around me that was in that industry benefited from me because I'm a promoter, as you can see, but I did that for everybody. Like my rap group, I promoted everybody. Like we came up with a whole identity with shirts and all this other things. And when I stepped out of it, nobody was really doing anything anymore. And the T-shirt people were losing money and the rapping people were losing money and because Payday just stepped away. But I shut it off and I was like, I'm done. And so I wasn't going to have anything to do with rap whatsoever. And then I started getting into Christian rap and I started listening to Lecrae and I started listening to Von Juan. And I was like, man, this is actually good now. It's not DC talk and it's not.
It's net positive.
Yeah. And KJ52, I do like KJ52.
Oh, yeah.
I actually know Jonah. What's up, brother? So actually, he was on the cover of our second issue.
Really?
Yeah, we brought a youth group to a show he did out here.
KJ52. I ain't heard that name in a minute.
No.
5 loaves, 2 fish. That's where that name came from. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So amazing guy, he's like Eminem, you know. So, but I was listening to the music then. I was like, man, these people are actually good. And I was like, I want to read about them. I was like, I love reading, right? Reading is my thing. And so I was like, where's a magazine that I can read about it? Oh, there isn't one. I was like, wait a minute. I own a printing company. Talked to my brother. I was like, why don't we start a company? You know, why don't we start a magazine? And so when I started that magazine, it was called The Message Mag. I don't have a full staff of writers. I had a graphic designer, but so my idea was all of these rappers are pastors, right? They're preachers of the word. So I would just approach them like KJ. I was like, hey, why don't you write a devotional that I can just use in the thing? Give me some pictures that you already have from your professional people. They wrote everything for me. I just put it together and then printed it. And
Sounds smart to me, man.
But Lecrae write his own thing. I did an interview with Triple E, and stuff like that. And that was my content. I did album reviews. I got free albums from every single Christian rapper on the planet. Because like, hey, I'm going to review your album. Send it to me. So they would all send it to me. I've like
Love it.
stacks. Yeah.
Love it. So why McKinney? How'd you end up here?
So I was in real estate back in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. The internet came out back then. And so back then, I don't know if you were familiar with like how things were real estate wise. You may be. There was no Zillow. There was no Redfin. There was none of that. When I used to go with my boss and show houses, we printed out MapsCo. You had a little book with maps. We printed those out.
MapQuest.
MapQuest.
Yeah.
Well, no, it was MapsCo.
MapsCo.
It was the actual.
I just like I was just dropping names of old companies. I just wanted to be like you guys.
And so all the contracts, there was no DocuSign. It was you had to actually print out contracts and do this and do that
On thing called paper.
Yeah, paper and a copy machine. It was so weird. But then what happened was I was working on getting my license. I'd worked full time, as an unlicensed assistant. I was working on getting my license because I've always had this hustle. My broker was like, "We need you to be a real estate agent." I'm like, "Okay, cool." But then I start watching it, and they're like, "The internet's coming out. They're about to release the MLS to the public." Like you couldn't see what listings there were unless there was a sign in a yard back then. And so I started getting scared, and like there's gonna be no reason for realtors. They're gonna be door openers and hand holders, and they're not gonna make any money. And then my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife of 25 years, got pregnant. She said, "Hey, I'm pregnant." I'm like, "Oh crap," So my brother called me. He had started a printing company in Richardson, or he was in the process of starting it, and I had money from various different things that I've done in that time. And he said, "Come invest in this, and this will be your future. This will be a career." And I had that for 21 years, the printing company.
Wow.
So yeah, so that brought me here because I was in Houston. The printing company was in Richardson, Texas. My brother lived in McKinney. And so I moved.
So your brother lived in McKinney, and that's
all my brothers lived in McKinney.
That's how you found McKinney.
Yeah, well, two of my brothers lived in McKinney. My sister actually lived in McKinney. I only had one brother that lived in Salina, so everybody else lived in McKinney. And I love McKinney. I moved here 25 years ago. Never left. I've always loved it. They've all moved out of McKinney. They all live other places now.
We don't talk about them.
Yeah.
Quitters.
So one brother moved to Grapevine. One brother moved to Van Alstyne. My sister lives in Prosper, and then my brother lives out in like Rosser, Texas. My other brother. But I'm the one that stayed. I was like, I love McKinney. I just everything about it. I raised my kids here. This is a great city.
I love it. Fred loves it. It was so funny. We were at an event last night, and it was people from all over.
No invite. Thanks.
It was we were doing a town hall thing with a political candidate, and Fred did his normal thing about McKinney's the best city ever, and the room was like crickets when he said that, and I'm just like, Fred, there's people from like
Frisco.
all over the entire region, like all the way from Mount Pleasant, Greenville, everywhere. It was like 7 different counties worth of people were in the room last night. And Fred said that. I'm just like,
can we talk about white settlement? Probably not the best name for a city. I'm just throwing that out there.
It's like, Fred, this is not a McKinney audience. Like this is a regional audience.
I was in the zone of
McKinney.
McKinney
we're
Podcast.
the podcast hosts, and what makes us the best. And so I just threw that out there.
It was hilarious as like a wake up call of, hey, we know we're the best. Anybody who lives in McKinney is aware of what a gem this city is.
That's right.
But this
city is not humble. We know we're the best.
Oh no! I mean,
in the words of DJ Khaled, we the best.
As my grandfather would have said, "It ain't bragging if it's true."
There you go. Your grandfather was a wise man.
Yeah. No brag, just fact was one of his other ones. I'm just like, I mean, Granddaddy.
Did he do this when he talked? He said,
no.
He didn't just throw it up like, yeah.
No, he was 80-something years old
fact.
when he said that. He's a Florida boy through and through.
Okay. He said it was the bee's knees, maybe.
He did. He would have said that. Yeah. No, he died in 2002.
Oh wow.
There's not a week that goes by I don't think about him. My son is named after him.
Okay.
So McKinney drew you in. Mm-hmm. What made you stay? As we kind of wrap this thing up here in just the next few minutes, I'd love to hear why McKinney has been such a part of your journey. You've been here for 25 years. This is where you chose to make a life.
Yes.
You built a family here.
So my only experience was with Southwest Houston, right? Not the greatest place.
No.
I was like, I grew up, I slept with my legs curled up so I didn't get shot in my legs. Like, that's legitimate. Like, I slept next to a window. I didn't want to get shot in a drive-by. There was drive-bys on my street all the time. Cars got blown up. My kids never had to worry about that. Like, there might have been fights at McKinney North or fights at Scott Johnson, but nobody's shooting anybody. There's no drive-by shootings in McKinney. I have yet in 25 years to hear of a drive-by shooting in McKinney. There may have been one. I didn't hear about it. We had them all the time. And so just having my kid in a safe environment where I wasn't worried if they're walking outside, they're going to get shot or they're going to get jumped by a gang of people, which is how I grew up. That's what kept me here. I was like, this was a different environment than anything I'd ever seen. Yeah. And I liked it. You know, I was like, I like the people, the community. In Houston, if you walk by and you do like that to somebody, that means you want to fight. You know, over here, they're like, they do it this way. Like, they put their head down. They're like, hey, man, how you doing? You can actually wave at people and be friendly. You know, that's not the way I was raised. So that's what kept me in McKinney.
Yeah, but you've already shown us how you wave. So.
Right. I actually invented this. Shout out to Kyle Draper, who said I invented the sideways peace sign. Yeah, I did invent it, according to Kyle Draper.
Fred, anything you want to ask before we hit him with that last question?
No, there are just so many things swirling around. You know, and actually, James, before we had started recording, and you were just tightening up some other details. You know, he had mentioned 2 other rock stars we've already had on here. Yeah, with Scott
and Scott Michaels.
Yeah,
Scott Michaels, man.
So Scott Michaels was my neighbor. Yeah, Scott Michaels actually, he used to be in the Emerald City Band. He used to be in Atmosphere, I think was his other band. And when things kind of went south with those, he asked me, he's like, man, I need to figure out something to do. I'm like, get into real estate, brother. I was like, you have a great personality. He's like me. Yeah. It's like a different version of me. You know what I mean?
You got name dropped in his episode.
Did I really?
Yeah. Oh, sweet. He mentioned you.
Good or bad?
You'll have to wait and see. As we record this, his episode drops next Monday.
So Scott, great golfer, loves golfing. We're going to have to go golfing soon. So, you know, he's already asked me 2 or 3 times to go.
You know, we can golf together and I will make you look good because I enjoy golf. I'm not very good at it. So I've been
golfing since I was 8 years old. I still golf like I'm 8 years old. Nothing's changed. So you can ask Scott. He'll tell you.
Know, James's game will make you look good. I'll take the photos that will make you look good.
Okay. You know, I mean, I don't think there's a photo that could make me look bad, to be honest with you. I'm just keeping it real. You know?
His humility is his best quality, folks. Let me just
I am the most humble person I know.
Fred, why don't you hit him with that last question?
Okay.
Uh-oh. You look serious.
We're very serious, Mike.
Uh-oh.
Who would win in a fight?
But me or Scott Michaels? Me.
Who would win in a fight?
I got Mike in that fight. Sorry, Scott.
So call, who's the Kalshi? Is that the new booking betting?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll call them.
Rainbird.
Okay. So
focus, Fred. Focus.
Right. Who would win in a fight between a great white shark and a polar bear? They're in a 6-foot deep body of water of infinite dimensions. There's no.
How tall is the polar bear?
12 feet tall.
Oh, well, then the polar bear. There's nothing else to say.
Okay. Why?
The shark doesn't have arms.
Okay.
You know, the bear has arms. The bear has claws. The bear's 12 feet tall, so he's not drowning in the water. He would just grab that thing and...
See, Mike, this is such a logical assessment of the question.
Exactly.
I really admire your intellectual approach to answering that. Well
if you said an ape, I would have said they had thumbs, you know.
Okay, so
was that the right answer? I mean, I just need to know
there's no right answer.
Okay. There is a right answer.
And that was
there is no right answer.
Was that the right one?
Okay,
I'm team polar bear. Fred is team shark.
Okay, so let's take it up a notch here. Who wins in the fight between the polar bear and the chupacabra?
Well, the chupacabra is not a real thing, so probably the polar bear.
Wait a minute,
the chupacabra wins because it's a mythical creature.
It is a mythical creature.
Strong Mexican and Hispanic, lore here. That's how parents kept their children in line.
No lie, like my wife, when she was pregnant with my children, had a key over her belly. Hopefully, I don't get in trouble for telling people that, but her grandmother made her do that because that is a Hispanic thing. If you don't put a key over your belly when you're pregnant, your kid will get a cleft lip. And so none of my kids have cleft lips. She had a key. So I don't know if that made it or didn't make it.
Yeah.
She has a cousin that has a cleft lip. I don't think they had a key.
I'm telling you.
But
you can't prove it didn't.
We did the oho with the prayer with the left hand with the egg, and then they crack the egg, and if there's stuff, and we've done all that. Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm in a
But you don't believe in the chupacabra?
I mean, I believe it's there.
Okay.
You know what that means, right? Well, that actually translates to goat sucker. That's what it's called. Because they used to. I'm a fact person.
Yeah.
And so the goat sucker used to go out. They'd find the goats out in the field, completely drained of blood, and that's chupacabra. Cabra is a goat. Chupa is suck. The goat sucker.
But we know, in fact, it's actually just the mosquitoes.
Bro, I want to point out, this is, I think, the 5th or 6th realtor that we've had on the show, and we've talked about real estate
We didn't talk about real estate at all.
Very little. But all 6 of these Realtor episodes have almost nothing to do with real estate.
That's right.
So also, I am a realtor. If you want to buy or sell a home, don't do it alone. Call me. I had to throw that out there. So
I mean, hey, it's your episode, bro. You can push whatever you want to push.
Yeah.
Hey, this has been just fantastic.
We didn't talk about the movies. I'm in tons of movies also.
We'll just have to have you back, Mike.
Episode 2.
Yeah, I mean, episode 2 at some point. Yeah. He is Mike Danielson. Check out his information in the show notes and the description on YouTube. Thanks for listening and watching. We'll see you next time, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.
Peace.
Thanks again for listening to and watching the McKinney Podcast. We drop a brand new episode every Monday morning. We'd love to connect with you and hear your thoughts, suggestions, and guest recommendations. You can message us on Facebook or send an email to us at mail@McKinneyPodcast.com. This entire production is a passion project for James and Fred and our lovely wives, Elizabeth and Allison. We're so grateful to have you along for the journey. We look forward to seeing you again next week and hopefully in person around town. That's all for now, ladies and gentlemen. Make it a great day.